Hello everyone and welcome into my latest live broadcast. Today it is Thursday, the 4th of September 2025. My name is CareyHolzman and today, well, we got a package in the mail. On day one, I pre-ordered the new NanoKVM Pro, and as far as I know, this is a world exclusive. There's no other unboxing, review, or video on this, so we're always happy to be first. They created the internal ATX version first, and they are currently manufacturing and getting ready to ship the desktop version, the little box that sits on the desk. And so we'll probably see that in a few weeks. Now, this shipped before any of the tariffs and such went into effect for the de minimis rules, and there was no tariff or duty. It just arrived in the mailbox like you would expect any package to. And there's some lawsuit happening where they're saying the tariffs are illegal and the president does not have that authority. And if in fact that turns out to be found as, if a judge decides that the president has exceeded his authority, then the $2 billion that they've collected in tariffs will need to be refunded. So we'll see how that plays out. There's still a couple of weeks yet before the desktop version arrives, and we definitely have a couple of those coming. While I'm super excited to get to this, I want to show you the web page, the way SiPEED, the folks who make it, have promoted it, and why it's better than, or preferred in my circumstance, over the prior version. Remember, we're looking at generation 1 of these products. We're just now seeing discussion of generation 2. That would be like the Comet KVM Pro. Jet KVM is out of the race for the United States forever at this point. And GLINet has really taken advantage of Jet KVM's design. They don't have to worry about being sued because they're not operating within the US and have no plans to do so until after 2029, sometime in 2030, which is like they might as well be gone. So I've been very impressed with the NanoKVM, the version I've been using. Very inexpensive. It suits my needs really, really well. But I wish it was Wi-Fi. Well, here we go. They've answered my desire. Also, a lot of you wanted video loopback so that you don't lose your monitor, that you can have both your monitor and the KVM connected together. And this is another feature of the Pro, along with many others. The link for this KVM is in the video notes below this video. A quick shout out to our friend Buster with an Amazon gift card, like a super chat, for yesterday and today's show. So thank you again, and a shout out to our good friend Buster out there in Scotland. Let me jump over to the website here. So again, in the video description below this video, you should be able to pull that up. Where is it? Right here, and come on, Carey. Keep minimizing windows. Should be this one. No? No. Nice try. Okay, this one then. There it is. So this is SiPEED's channel, website I mean. And if you look, this is what they've been promoting since June. We ordered this on day one. We ordered one of each on day one. And this one has gone through production and shipping first. And then the desktop version is currently in production and shipping at this point. I think they're planning on shipping in another week or so, but I'll keep you informed as I get information. So how is it different from the prior version? Well, they did make an internal and external version of the NanoKVM, and we demonstrated both of those here. I don't think I ever plugged in the internal version because I primarily use these with mini PCs and laptops. But this would be like for a more permanent position, a more permanent solution for people looking for remote access to a computer. Whereas I need it to set up new computers from a different location, and that being upstairs, I can configure a brand new laptop mini PC without having to come downstairs. So these are only connected to a computer for a couple of hours, and then I switch them. So in one evening, I might move the NanoKVM to 3 different computers. The same NanoKVM, just helping me get computers set up, updated drivers, BIOS, all of that. Then I shut it down, come downstairs, unplug it, put the mini PC away, set the next mini PC up, plug it into the NanoKVM. So I have a unique use case scenario. But for me, I don't want a bunch of cables. All right. So with the NanoKVM, I only need to use 3 cables: HDMI, internet cable, and a USB cable that provides the keyboard and mouse input, and it also provides power. Now on the GLINet Comet, it needs a separate USB for power. And I don't mind that there's an option for separate power. What I do mind is that I'm forced to use it. That leads me to 4 cables. So my thought is, how can I reduce the number of cables? I want to switch it out quickly. So essentially, the internal card, when it comes to putting this into a tower computer, you just put the internal card in there and you're good to go indefinitely. But for the desktop one, all your cables are going to be external, and beyond that, you still need that Ethernet cable. So if I can get rid of the Ethernet cable and get on Wi-Fi, that solves a problem for me. Also, they make a power over Ethernet version where power can be provided through your network cable if you have a PoE injector or a switch or router that supports that, which I do not, nor do I want to. But nonetheless, it's options for people to consider, and I love options. Now, if we look down at how this is promoted and what's different about it, it does up to 4K at 45 frames and 2K at 95 frames per second. You can do virtual ISOs and mount system images like DVDs, etc., virtually within the machine. And you can access the BIOS, as I previously mentioned. There's the option to remotely control the power of the computer it can plug into the motherboard where your power switch and reset switch are with an additional cable. And then you can then take your existing power switch and reset switch and move them over through a pass-through so that both can work simultaneously. But because it plugs directly onto the power and reset switch of a motherboard, you're physically turning it on and off no differently than if you were pushing the button. Now, of course, I can turn it off and back on again using Wake on LAN as well, but that doesn't give me the option to reset the computer like hitting a reset button would. So that's what this option is for. It's an option, you don't have to use it. It's got a HDMI loop out, meaning that we can take the HDMI cable coming out of the computer and plug it into the KVM, and then come out of the KVM and plug it into the monitor. So before, we did not have that option on any of, in fact, this is the first remote KVM I've seen that offers this feature that's actually on sale that you could buy here in the United States. At least under $500. Like, this thing is relatively inexpensive. It's like $120, I think, is what I paid with the shipping and everything. It's really inexpensive. You buy it once, there's no software subscription, there's no software to install. Multi-network. Okay, so this has both Wi-Fi 6, which is an option when you're buying it, or gigabit Ethernet. I don't know why it's gigabit. It really only needs to be 100 megabit, but you know, no harm. Multiple power options, meaning you can do power over Ethernet, which is optional again, or USB-C power, which is how I'll run it, USB-C. The software is open source. You can go on GitHub, you can look at it, you can offer suggestions for improvement, or at least just confirm there's nothing shady going on. There's a great community over there discussing the real technical side of things if you're into that. There's an option to switch between NanoKVM mode and PiKVM mode. It's built into the software of the unit. So I'm not exactly sure what the advantage of that is, but think of it like a dual boot system. Dual form. So yeah, we can get it in ATX style that goes inside of a desktop computer, or the rack desk mount, which is the little box that sits separately on its own externally. It's got the external one that we haven't got yet, has a little display on it. I don't know how useful that display is going to be other than obtaining an IP address to connect to it. The other options they sell are a LED strip to match the colors that are displaying on the screen, which is more of a gamer feature that has absolutely nothing to do with remote KVM. And the Smart Assistant, again, I feel like has absolutely nothing to do with remote KVM, though somebody might have a unique use case scenario where that is more than just a toy. But whatever. All right, I don't mind if they throw a bunch of features in I don't want, as long as they're not overcharging for it. And at the top of the page, you'll notice there's all the different KVMs up here, up where I'm pointing the mouse, the cube. The PCIe is the internal version of the original, Generation 1, and the USB version, which is for a crash cart in a server room, which does not work over the internet. Now anyway, we're on the Pro version here. And this shows you can support hundreds of NanoKVM nodes in batch management through the Pro. You can connect these. So then you have one connection point, and from that one connection point, you can access multiple Generation 1 NanoKVMs. So if you're managing, 10 machines or something, you don't have to buy 10 of these. Nor do you need 10 separate IP addresses that you're all logging into separately. This is a unique idea, and when we get the desktop version, we'll look into that. So they said after the popularity of the original, they listened to all the feedback, and they upgraded it from 1080 to 4K, from 100 megabit Ethernet to gigabit with power over Ethernet and Wi-Fi 6. So you can buy this with the PoE option, or you can buy this with the Wi-Fi 6 option, or you can buy it with all three options, priced accordingly. Encoder accelerates latency from 100 to 150 milliseconds down to just 50 to 100 milliseconds. So it should be more responsive. And let's see what else. Dual system support. So the NanoKVM system is what I want. That's what I'm familiar with. But the PiKVM, I'll have to learn about this. But it's basically a dual boot, if you think about it that way. At least that's my understanding of it. Industrial design upgrade. Okay, so we're back to the desktop version we don't have. Typical installation is the same as what we've been familiar with. This is more on the desktop version, which we'll show you when it arrives, probably another 2 or 3 weeks, and I'll let you know if there's any tariffs that need to be collected. I don't know yet. So if we go to the internal card, so once again, we're still dealing with the desktop version here. They're very openly comparing this to the GLINet, even though it just has X's there. We know who they're talking about. And the JetKVM, which is not doing business in the United States until the year 2030. That's what they're saying. They will not even begin to consider selling in the United States until Donald Trump is no longer the president. So they've decided to turn this into a political tool rather than being a business selling a product. So I'm not interested in JetKVM. They have an excellent product and a terrible, terrible management team at their company that I believe is making a grave mistake. And the GLINet Pro was recently announced before this chart was put together, which looks remarkably like the JetKVM, which is the biggest middle finger to JetKVM I can imagine. I like the device, but the people that run the company are just they're not focused on business. If they want to get into politics, then get into politics. And if you want to sell computers and devices, then sell computers and devices. Don't mix them up, man. So I want nothing to do with them. I'm done with them. So looking at the differences here, there's a comparison between the NanoKVM Pro that we have here today, the NanoKVM that I always use. This is my go-to. And then, of course, the GLINet KVM, which I have here, and I very rarely use it. I went to hook it up the other day, and I don't know what my password is anymore. So I'm going to have to reset it. I stored the password, I thought, but apparently it's not for this. So I have to reset it, and I couldn't be bothered, so I just went back to my NanoKVM. It's a lot easier to use, and it's faster, and it's cheaper than the GLINet. And the JetKVM, as I mentioned, I like it, but I don't like the company. I don't like the people that are in charge, and I don't want to vote with my hard-earned money to encourage and support and condone this political behavior that I'm not buying into their politics. They're allowed to believe whatever they want to believe, but you cannot force that down my throat, and I will not do business with you if you require it. So for that reason, as I mentioned, I have no interest in JetKVM, and the GLINet Pro is supposed to be coming out in December, and NasCompare's already got their hands on one, so if it's already that done, why are we waiting until December? But that's available on Kickstarter if you want to look into it. It does have some shortcomings, which NasCompare's pointed out. And again, we're only on version 2 or generation 2 of the product, but I'm glad to see them continue to grow and expand. And then there's a list of all the differences here that you can check out. So as we scroll down, there are the documents also on the GitHub community that you can go for support and help. There's their Twitter page. I follow them on Twitter. That's how I was able to get this on day one. That's where they announced it. And then, of course, they have a Discord server. So that's all there on the page. And let me come back over here to camera 1. And this is what it looks like in the box right here. So we're going to unbox this for the very first time. It literally just arrived just a couple hours ago. And I'm anxious to get my hands on it. It just so happens we have this machine out. Now, normally I don't have any reason to install these permanently. However, I started thinking about Studio A. I leave that machine on 24/7 and had bought a original NanoKVM internal, and I still haven't taken it out of the box because, quite frankly, it's just easier for me to hook up the regular NanoKVM. We'll go ahead and shut the computer off, and then I just send a wake on LAN command to it. Wakes up, turns on the machine. Doesn't wake it up, it actually turns it on, boots to the desktop, and when I'm logged into the Nano, I see it boot up. I see the post screen, the logo, the toilet bowl flushing. It's really cool. So the idea of putting in the internal card and then running the wires to the power and reset switch, they're of no use to me. How often do I need to reset a computer because it froze up? Hasn't happened in a long time. So we're out of the Windows 7 days. But regardless of that, it's an option if you want to install it. I think everything we need to do that is in the box. And so I don't know exactly what long-term plans I would have for this, only because, as I mentioned, the idea of having one singular box that I'm going to keep repeatedly logging into, such as Studio A, is not the use case scenario I need it for. I also would not install this at client locations. My main concern for this is I don't want a piece of hardware that can be tripped over, have wires that come loose, or potentially any security concerns by leaving it on 24/7 with just a regular customer. I just don't trust it to that level. Once we're already in Windows, I just use regular remote software like Instant House Call. You can use whatever you can use whatever remote software you want once you're inside of Windows. This helps me when I want to update a BIOS. This helps me if I want to shut a computer off, such as I mentioned Studio A, and not use any power. And then when I want to log into it, this stays online. This has its own power, it stays online. And then I log into this and I tell it to wake up, to start up and turn on the computer it's installed into. That's wake on LAN. And then, like I said, I see the whole thing boot. So the main advantage here is primarily that video loop out, which is to allow you to have a monitor connected from the back of the NanoKVM, and then the NanoKVM connects into the output of the HDMI. The only other way to do that would be if you had 2 video outputs and you ran one video output to your monitor, one video output to your NanoKVM, and then turn on multiple, in Windows, turn on dual monitors and set them to mirror each other. Again, we're running a lot of cables. I guess it's the same number of cables, but it just seems messy to me. So this is, for me, I don't need a monitor hooked up. This becomes my monitor. Somewhere else where I'm logged into it becomes the monitor. I would not need the monitor here and there at the same time. So it's not important to me. Again, once I'm in Windows, I don't even need a device like this. The other reason I like this is there's no software involved. So when I'm getting mini PCs and laptops, brand new, ready to be sold to a customer, I want to configure them all from upstairs where I can sit comfortably at a desk and I'm not standing here at a bench waiting for Windows updates and waiting for things to finish. It's very, very time consuming. I can instead open a browser window, connect to what I need to do, make sure that I get everything done. I can shut it down from upstairs, come down here, unplug it, it's good to go, and there's no software to uninstall, there's no cache files, because it never happened. That's what I love about it. Once the customer has it, if they have a problem, we will connect with remote software. So this really, for me, has a very unique use case scenario that I don't expect really applies to anybody else in the world. But that's the benefit of when you have such an innovative, feature-rich device that it can be used in ways that the people who created it probably never imagined. You know, they probably didn't know this was a problem. And it has made a huge difference in how quickly I can get things done. Because I'm not going up and down the stairs every 5 minutes. And then my mind wanders and I forget. And the thing's sitting down here waiting to reboot for an hour after some Windows update took forever. Now I just click on the tab and see its status and click restart. It's literally moving my arm like this instead of getting up, walking down. You know, it's a game changer for me. So I thought I'd get one of each, right? One of the internal card, one with the external. And, you know, I don't have any immediate plans for this, but it's nice to have in my repertoire just in case I might need it. You never quite know when things might change, companies go out of business, inventories go out of stock, tariffs go up. And then even if I could order one when I needed it, it could take days or weeks to arrive. If I need it now. So it's a regular, you know, inventory item for me. And for the price, you know, get 2 or 3 of them for less than the cost of what they used to cost. An IPKVM would usually start around $500. So this is remarkable. In my opinion, it's remarkable. Let me get over to the chat room here before we get started and see what everybody has to say, and say hello to everyone. Mark Baggett joins us along with Eddie Casanova and Mark Gaines. I see Scott and David Graham saying hello, along with John Williams and Andy W6AD. Chris Johnson says hello, as does our friend Buster, saying it is 57 degrees Fahrenheit in Edinburgh, or 13.8 degrees Celsius. Boy, it's been hovering right around those upper 50s last week or so. It sounds really nice there. And Ben Laird also joining us from Scotland. Speaking of Scotland, there's also Michael Lavelle saying hello. And William Bird, K. Cordius Technology. Elijah 52 Dickens. And Gregory Howard. Welcome in, everybody. Happy birthday to our friend Planet Cryos. It was his birthday yesterday, I think. Is it yesterday or today? So happy birthday if we see him in there. Shout out a happy birthday to him. And it looks like it was Chris Johnson's birthday as well. So happy birthday to Chris. Wild Soul says hello. Be curious if you were able to figure out that not a slow responding computer, if you got that resolved or you're still working on it. And Dustin Fuller says hello, along with David Herzog and PSC Computers Missouri. Robert Jones joins us, says hello, as does, I gotta find their name. I skipped it. It just dropped on me. Darn it. Where was I? Oh, Dennis. And Dennis says hello and welcome into our good friend Dennis. I think I got everybody. Chris said his birthday was August 30th. Oh, a couple days ago, and I'm grateful for the birthday shout out. Well, I'm sorry I missed it on August 30th, but happy belated birthday to you. For sure, for sure. Carey, how does it feel to be animated? I've been animated a long time. People say, Carey, you're very animated. And I say, yes, thank you. And I don't see a single person talking about this KVM. Really? Okay. Well, maybe I'm the only one who's excited about it. Let's get to the unboxing. The NanoKVM Pro Unboxing, here we go. First time. What do we got? Got some cables. Oh, that's tiny. That's the card. And okay. So here are our three. Hold on, let me get this out of the way. These are the three packages inside of the box. This is the backside, front. Set it up there. See what we got. USB-C to Type A cable. USB-C to Type A cable. I appreciate those are included. We have a USB internal cable, and this is to wire from a top half or a bottom half of a USB 2 header on your motherboard into a connector here on the ATX board here. We're going to talk about this in a second. This is an HDMI cable, and this is a really short HDMI cable. So a short cable and a long cable, both HDMI on both ends. This should be our card. Look how tiny that is. Super tiny. And let me bring it up to the camera a little closer. Get rid of this trash. And let's go over to camera 1 again. And let me just walk it over here. So here's our card, and there is another plate to make this low profile. So this is your standard size, and then if you had a small form factor computer, you can take this. Many internal cards are that way. And it looks like there's a spot for an antenna to go here, but we have to open up the rest of the package. There is some plastic on this, which needs to be removed, I think. So we're going to peel that off. And I also see a pull sticker here with this green tab. Pull that off. Oh, that's the screen. So that's the little tiny screen that'll give you your IP address and information will be displayed here inside of the computer. The other version had the screen, a little teeny tiny screen about half the size on the back. So that's interesting. They changed that. There appears to be, so I'm still looking at the, checking it out myself and not showing it to the camera. All right, so it's pretty tiny. I mean, we're looking at really small card here. Get rid of that. And finally, there's one bag left. I'm assuming there's an antenna in here. I don't know. I mean, it's supposed to be, this is supposed to be the Wi-Fi version that I ordered. But I don't see an antenna. We get a teeny tiny, there's a little screwdriver. Here's a cable to run what I'm guessing is to maybe control other KVMs. I'm not sure about this yet. And then this is that small form factor slot cover. So if you were to install this in a small form factor, shallower computer, you would replace this end piece here, which I won't use. Now, the idea is that if we can power this internally through USB, then we don't have to use these USB cables out here. We can run USB from here to the back of the computer. And since this will also be in the back of the computer, it just looks like a little loop. Or you can run an alternative USB internally so people don't see it. And it can't be accidentally unplugged, assuming you have that issue. I don't know why I don't have an antenna. This is bugging me. This is supposed to be the Wi-Fi version. Did they send me the right one? There would be no point in me ordering this if I did not order the Wi-Fi version, because I already have the original. So they've got a little box check down here. And I'm going to have to reach out to support, because it appears they sent me the ATX version, and what I ordered is the ATX plus Wi-Fi version. I've got that on my receipt. They sent me the wrong one. So all this time and all this waiting, and they screwed up. All right, people make mistakes. It happens. Whatever. Not too happy, because that's the whole reason I bought it. All right, whatever. So I want to talk to you about this little USB cable right here. As I mentioned, this would be used to plug in, let's say right here, I'm guessing. No? Where else would that plug in? It does not appear to go there. And this is why they make documentation. I get it. I guess it's got to go up here by the USB ports. Yeah, so it's going to go there. Right here. And I received an email today from SiPEED that basically says, we screwed up. We made a huge mistake in manufacturing that we need you to fix for us. But that's not how they phrased it. But you tell me if you're reading anything different than me. But here's a copy of the email. And it says, hold on, let me see this bigger. It says, thank you very much for your support of SiPEED. We have customized unconventional versions of the cables. We have customized unconventional versions. We have screwed up and mistakenly miswired the cables. We wired them backwards. That's what they're saying, but they're not admitting it, and they're not being fully honest. They're sort of gaslighting here in the sense that it's not a bug, it's a feature. It says that if you need to use this 4-pin USB cable, this is the cable I'm holding in my hand, you don't have to use it, it's optional. But if you want to use it, please cut off the black wire. And you're saying, well, why would you cut off the ground wire? That doesn't make any sense. Because that's not the ground wire. In fact, if you look at it, it says connect the KVM Pro to the motherboard as shown. Note that the green wire is the D-, the white is the D+, and the red is ground. That's backwards. Everything is backwards on this. So it's almost like they put the end on upside down. And furthermore, what I'm curious about is if we cut the 5-volt wire, how does that establish enough voltage just through D+ and D- and ground? The red wire is the ground. They screwed this up big time. So that's disappointing. But again, this was a pre-order. We knew we were going to get it early. And I've never seen a company not do a recall or submit a proper product and instead ask the customer to cut the cable and explain the black wire is the positive wire and the red wire is the ground, and then say that they've customized unconventional versions. Like they did it on purpose. No, they did not do this on purpose. This is a vulgar and obvious mistake. I would respect them more if they were just honest about it. That really bothers me that they want to treat me like I'm a child. We screwed up. I would just, it's an easier pill for me to swallow, and I got a lot more respect from a company that owns up to it. Says we've made a mistake in manufacturing and we'll replace the cable for you. In the meantime, if you want to use that cable, please cut this wire. All right. So again, I don't even know how it's going to work without the 5-volt wire, but I guess it doesn't need it. What do I know? That's really bizarre. Very strange. Now, what you'll find on this card, which I think most of you will find interesting, is you'd say, well, why doesn't the card just get voltage from the PCIe slot? Well, if you notice, this is just a circuit board with no traces or wires on it. So this part hangs off the edge. This stays out the outside of your PCIe slot. Only this piece goes in, and there's no traces on it. So it's only there to support this, to hold it in place. It doesn't provide any voltage to it, which seems kind of silly to me. I don't know. Maybe there's no voltage on those pins, but it sure would have been nice if they would have, you know, if I'm plugging this in internally and I can use the voltage off the PCIe bus, then I don't need a USB cable. Wouldn't even need one. All I need is HDMI out. We're good to go. So to get HDMI into this, we'd have to run this short cable. That's why they give you the short one, from the back of the card into the back of your video card on the same computer, right? So you're only going to go maybe a foot, 2 feet. So that's what that little cable's for. This cable, I don't even know why they included it, quite frankly, because you just take the existing cable you're using now and plug it in here. There should be no reason for this cable. This should be the cable you're already using with whatever monitor you're running to. This seems like an expensive, or at least it's adding on to the cost of the unit, that no one should need this. Now, I appreciate the 2 USB-C to USB Type-A cables. But I don't appreciate that they did not send me the Wi-Fi version. And I will go back and look at my receipt again, but I'm really confident, I think, that I ordered the Wi-Fi version. And the reason I ordered the Wi-Fi version is you would ordinarily, see, I wish there was a loop back for the Ethernet, because I'm going to have to take the Ethernet cable out of the back of the computer and plug it into this. But now the computer I'm connecting to has no internet. So I would need a loop back on this as well to then run a short cable from here back into the computer. Or this needs to be Wi-Fi, and I can leave the Ethernet cable alone in the computer. So I am sure that I ordered a Wi-Fi version. I'm sure of it. Otherwise, the one I've got pretty much does what I need it to do. So this doesn't help me at all. But we're going to test it anyway and see what it looks like. So I'm going to go ahead and just plug this into any slot here. I've got the power supply plugged in but turned off. And we'll just, wait a minute. Does that actually, So I'm wrong. This piece here, I've got it backwards myself. This piece is going to, this piece is going to plug into the circuit board, and this piece is going to hang on the outside, or it's this part of the circuit board is going to plug into the PCIe slot. And the one on the inside is in the gap between the PCIe slot and the end of the board. But why that throws me is that there's a little connector and everything. This can't go in very far. It can only go in about 4 millimeters, whereas the other one looks like it could go in and secure it. I'm not sure about this design here, folks. This looks pretty janky. Yeah, it doesn't actually go in. It doesn't go in the slot at all. It sits. It sits about 2 or 3 millimeters into the slot. It doesn't actually seat down like a traditional PCIe card, nor could it, not with all of this stuff built onto the leg. The leg is not free. So it's just there as a stand. And then, of course, you'd use a screw to secure it. So therefore, you don't even need this inside of the computer. It's not getting anything from inside of the computer unless you're running the USB here to, internally. Everything we need is on the outside. So if we take the USB-C cable, let's just try this. Now we have 3 USB-Cs. One says probably help if I held it right side up, huh? We do have a reset button right here and a USB button. I don't know what the USB button does. Okay, so the one down here says Human Interface Device, HID. So I definitely need that one. The next one says that it's for power. And the next one says it's for the ATX board, which I am guessing was not included. Is that another mistake? Weren't we supposed to get an ATX board with this? So the ATX board is the piece that this would connect to that can control the power switch and reset switch and then give you another place to plug your power and reset into. I don't know what this is for yet. Now, on other NanoKVMs, as I mentioned, the keyboard and mouse will also provide power. Will this one do that, or does it require the separate power? That's what we're going to figure out. And, I wanted this to be Wi-Fi, but since it's not, then what we're going to have to do is plug in our HDMI output. And I don't know if one of these is an input and one of these is an output, or if it matters. It does matter. The one over there in the middle says out. So we want to go into this out of the computer we're hooking up to. And we'll use the included cable here. We'll use the short one. So these are the 3 cables I'm talking about. Remember, I'm switching these out all the time. So we're on the input right there, and we'll take that to the output of the computer we want to control, which would normally have a monitor plugged into it. And we would unplug that monitor and plug this in, and then the monitor cable would plug into the output if we needed it. I don't need it. Again, I don't use it this way. And then I'll just plug into a USB port here. Really shouldn't matter which USB port I use. I'll go for one of these red ones, even though it probably doesn't require that. And then I need to plug an Ethernet cable into here, so the board has internet access. And I need to plug the internet into this, which is why I wanted it to be Wi-Fi. It would be one less cable. Just in case I'm not being very clear about why I need that. Well, I don't need it. Just make my life easier. So there's one Ethernet cable, and thankfully I just happen to have one extra one, just by luck. Now you'll notice I don't have a keyboard, a mouse, or a monitor plugged in here, because that's what this becomes. My only question is, when I turn power on, will this single USB cable also provide power to me, or to this? Let's find out. We'll turn the switch on the power supply now. And I'll hit my power button. Let's see if the screen lights up. I'm watching for the screen to light up here. Nothing's happening. Oh, it flashed. There it goes. So it is getting power. Hallelujah. Okay, so if I look on the screen, this may be a very difficult thing to zoom in on, but we're given a bunch of information here that says our IP address. Yeah, just kind of a status. The only thing I really am interested in, and again, this would be inside of the computer. So I guess if you had a case window, you could see this through your case window. So it's telling me my IP address 192.168.68.71. So I don't need a discovery tool. Like Dennis wrote us a great discovery tool, by the way, for the regular NanoKVM that does not have a screen. But with the screen, I don't need a discovery tool. I just type that IP address into any browser on the same LAN I'm on to configure this. Then I can configure it for worldwide access. Again, I don't need worldwide access. I just need access in the building. And so that's really easy to set up. So let's set it up for the very first time. I'm on the streamer, right? When you see me using this keyboard and mouse, I am on the streaming machine over here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to open a browser tab, and I'm going to share the window with you so you can watch me do this. And we'll go through this together. Let's go to window capture. Okay. And the IP address, what did I say it was? 192.168.68.71, I think is what I said. Your connection's not private. Did I type it right? Yeah, I typed it right. Advanced, go there anyway. Proceed. Yeah, we got our login. Now, the default username and password, I don't know what that is. There's no documentation in here at all, by the way. I'm looking back in the box. There is no documentation. So we'll have to go online. There is documentation online. But I think the username is admin and the password is blank. No? Is the password admin2? Admin, enter. Yes, that did work. And look at that. Now it's saying change your password. For security of your device, please change the password. Assuming you guys can see all that. Very good. So I'm going to put the username NanoKVM. And the password will be nano. And we'll verify nano. I would not use this in real life, but for our public demonstration. With the new name and password now set, we have to log in with those credentials. NanoKVM, nano. Now this is the desktop of the machine that's sitting to my left. That's just the bare circuit, the bare motherboard. This is that desktop right now. And you'll see two mice. The little one that's leading and the bigger one that's following. And that's part of the delay we're talking about, how they've improved that so it's faster. However, you'll notice a blue dot up here. And much like the previous version of NanoKVM, the software is the same. This indicates there's an update, and these updates are critical because it's a new product. Even the original one is still fairly new, and these updates can very much improve your experience. Like here, image version 0.0.1. You couldn't go any lower than that number. We can also set a DNS name for it. So I like to call this NanoKVM. So I'll change this by clicking the clipboard down here. See, out of the box, they're probably given random names. So I'm going to click on this, and then that way I don't have to type the IP address ever again. If I can just remember what I named it, I can open up my browser and go to NanoKVM and hit enter. And it should automatically find the device once we reboot for that setting to take effect. Now the blue dot here on check for updates is, I mentioned, it's critical. Look how big of an update this goes from 1.0.4 to 1.0.10. So without even playing with this, I want to make sure I have the latest version so I'm not, running into problems that have already been solved. So that's the first thing I want to do, just like updating a BIOS or updating Windows. I want to make sure I've got the latest version so that I'm not sitting there trying to figure out a problem that was been solved through an update. So we're giving them every benefit of the doubt here. So we'll wait on that. And these updates don't take very long. It's not a very big device. It rebooted already, which means that if I went up here instead of the IP address, if I just typed in NanoKVM.local, enter, it'll take us right back here again. And I don't have to look at the, well, it didn't. Why didn't that work? NanoKVM.local, that should work. Well, I'll tell you what, let's go back and see if that took effect. So I'm going to log back in via the IP address, which is, again, what the screen is there to display. And we'll type in username, once again, NanoKVM, and then nano, there's the password. And once we're logged in, we'll check our settings, go to the gear icon. NanoKVM.local is the proper DNS name. And the host name is NanoKVM. That is correct. So I'm curious why that's not working. I'm going to close this tab, and I'm going to open it again, and I'm going to try going to NanoKVM.local. That should translate into whatever IP address it gets assigned, because it can change. Now, I could set a static IP address if I can remember it, but it's easier for me to remember the name. And I don't know why that's not working. The only other thing I can think is if I open Microsoft Edge and that the browser is caching DNS. Let me just see if it opens in Microsoft Edge. You guys aren't going to see this, so I'll let you know what happens. No, it's not working there either. Something's not working here. So let's just log back in with the number and I'll solve that problem later. Now, with regards to how this works, it's exactly the same as the other version. You'll see I didn't install any software. And out of the box, the hardest thing is figuring out what IP address your router gave it. That's what the screen is there for. The screen also gives you some status updates about things, but you know, it's pretty obvious it's working, right? And here you've got a number of options going full screen, for example. Now it's basically the monitor for this remote computer. It's just like I'm staring at it. If I want to go into the BIOS, I click down here, go to restart. Now remember, I don't have a keyboard and mouse plugged into this computer. Boy, that's a big delay. Let's restart. And so I'm going to use the streamer's keyboard here. And if for any reason the streamer keyboard isn't working, I can click a virtual keyboard up here, put it on screen. And then I can hit delete over and over this way. That should take us into the BIOS. But I should be able to use the streaming keyboard as well. But just in case that keyboard doesn't work during a restart for whatever reason, this would be an alternative way of like function keys and things, print screen. Like, I don't want to print screen my local computer, I want to print screen the remote computer. Things can get a little bit confusing. And so for that reason and other reasons, you have this virtual keyboard you can bring up as needed. So I'm just going to keep clicking on delete. Now, sometimes when computers reboot, they disconnect USB. If the USB is disconnected, then we're going to get another login. That's what the additional 5-volt power is for, by the way. It's to keep the NanoKVM on when a system's rebooting. But many systems will have USB ports that stay on. And this one might just do that, and I've plugged it into a USB port that doesn't work that way. Because what we should be able to do is get into the BIOS just like we would if we were sitting in front of it. So just for grins and giggles, I'm going to unplug the USB out of the port I've got it in, and I'm going to plug it into a different USB port and give that a second to get power again. This reboots the NanoKVM since that one cable is providing power as well as the keyboard and mouse emulation. By unplugging it and plugging it back in, I've effectively unplugged the NanoKVM from power. And now the NanoKVM has just come up again, and that's why it wants me to re-log in, because it rebooted. The computer didn't reboot, only the NanoKVM Pro did. So NanoKVM, nano, and we're back in. I'm also curious if it's still gonna lock us out. NanoKVM.local. Advanced. I don't know what's going on with this. Proceed. Okay, that's working now. So for whatever reason, the MDNS name just took a few minutes to register with the, I guess, the router. But that's working, and I don't have to type the address in now. I can just type the name. Even if I unplug this, put it on a shelf for 3 months, and plug it back in, it's real easy for me to remember that name, as well as the login name and password. If I leave it that way, it's safe on my local area network. I'm not opening it up yet for access outside of the building. To do that, we would want to set up something called tailscale, which is a free service. This is the wake on LAN option. This opens up the terminal, which we don't need. Let me close that. For internal work, this opens up any sort of scripts you want to run. This is where you can mount images, ISO images, for example, to have virtual CDs and virtual DVDs. This is your mouse control, keyboard control. And for remote, we would go down here to tailscale, and we would set up tailscale, which is an open source utility that I love. And you can use it on Synology NASs and computers to computer, all encrypted. It's its own, it's better than a VPN, and it's free. It's very, very secure. I don't know what account is for. What is that? Web account. I don't know what this is. But everything else is the same here. Configure Wi-Fi. Boy, I sure would love to. Does not appear they gave us Wi-Fi on this unit. Then this is a way we can reboot it. There's the LED strip. We don't buy that nonsense. The mouse jiggler is just there to jiggle the mouse so that your screen doesn't go to sleep on the remote machine. So it's still a work in progress, but it's really, really good, and they're only getting better. And you can see it's fully functional, but I just think some of the features haven't been fully rooted out yet, nor introduced. I think there's some other features to this that we've yet to see. But what I want to try one more time, I want to restart and see if this different USB port keeps us turned on. So we'll restart again. I'm going to bring up the virtual keyboard, and then I'll start pressing delete as soon as that restarting now goes away. And I'm keeping an eye on the NanoKVM to see if it powers off this time. So far, we're good. I'm seeing the screen is still lit up, and I am a different USB port now, which I think will keep the power on during a restart. Nope, power just went out. Okay, so when the power goes out on the NanoKVM, it reboots it. And that means we're going to have to re-sign in again. And we're not going to be able to sign in fast enough, because by the time the system initializes the post sequence, the NanoKVM will be up and running, and then we've missed our opportunity to get into the BIOS. So what solves that is a separate USB cable for power. But again, I don't want to run that other cable. So I could just simply tell Windows the next time it boots, go into the BIOS. That prevents that anyway. That should prevent it. So watch this. We'll go to, and again, I'm explaining how I need it. And I'm telling you what all the options are, because you might want this to do something different. In fact, the likelihood that you want this to do what I want it to do, I'm probably the only person on the planet that uses a NanoKVM this way. But I'm telling you, this is a massively important tool for me. We're going to go to Windows Update. We're going to go to Advanced Options. We're going to go to Recovery. We're going to go to Advanced Startup. This is what we're looking for. Restart now and restart now. Now this time, when it restarts, once again, we will likely lose power to the NanoKVM, but it'll pause and it'll wait for our input, meaning that even without power on the NanoKVM, if it loses power, by getting into the BIOS this way, we're not under a timer, so it'll be fine. So right now, the screen is still on the NanoKVM. It has not turned off, which means that we have an active monitor that we're looking at in the browser right now, which is good. And I'll let you know if it changes. So far, the power has stayed on. So it's a different kind of a reset, apparently. And yeah, we should see an active screen within our browser here. And don't know why it's taking so long. I got nothing. Let me refresh. Still nothing. I wonder why. You can close that to get it out of your way, that little, and then bring it back here. So if you're trying to click on something up at the top of the screen and this is in your way, that's what that's for. This will go full screen as I demonstrated. The red button here, it's not a button, it's just a logo. And you can use this, I guess you can you move that around? No, you can't move it. Huh. We're not getting any video out of this right now. It never powered off. It's sitting on the same IP address. We log back into it again. Let's reboot the NanoKVM. We'll go here. We'll go to check for updates. Where was it? I would turn this on too. I don't mind getting early updates. After we turn it on, we have to come back down to check again. Oh, there's another update. That's not a not an official release. It's a preview release, but preview releases, in my opinion, are pretty damn good. And that could resolve the issue we're having right now. So I want to try that first. So now the NanoKVM is powered off and it's restarting itself. It's rebooting now with the new update in place. And we're just waiting for the screen. There it is. Screen has just come back on. And NanoKVM. Nano. Still nothing. That's pretty interesting. Pretty interesting. So there's some kind of a synchronization problem here. Huh. Because what I was going to do, I was going to restart the NanoKVM. And that's under Settings, Device, Reboot. So let's reboot, even though we just rebooted it, let's reboot it one more time. Because it doesn't seem to be syncing with the monitor. We should have a screen waiting for us. And I don't know why it's not appearing, but you know, look, this is day one of a brand new product. And we're pioneers, okay? We're the first ones to do this on a YouTube video or on any video that I'm aware of. So there may be that I'm doing something wrong, or likely this needs a little more polishing and I've exposed a problem that they're not aware of and can be addressed in another update. So that's interesting. What I can do also is I can log out of the NanoKVM, which I'm pretty sure we did anyway. Let's log out. Let's close the browser. Let's open it again. NanoKVM is the name of it. Let's log back into it. Nothing. If I take the HDMI cable that we normally use, that I'm standing on, and plug it into the back of the NanoKVM, will it display anything? Let's try the loop out and just see if there's a loop out coming through. And for me to demonstrate that now, what I need to do is turn off the window capture and go to the HDMI capture that would normally be plugged in here. That's this cable I just plugged in. We go to HDMI input number 3, and I've got no output here either. So whatever is happening, it's happening in the device itself. Because now if I take this and I plug it into the motherboard, I'll bet you we've got video waiting for us. And it's just not, for some reason, it's not syncing. Let me just verify. No, I've got no video output here either. Huh. Well, you know, like I said, this could be user error. Maybe it's something with the motherboard detecting incorrect. Well, let me turn the board off. So we're going to come back over here. I'm going to turn the board off. We're going to turn it back on again. We're going to come back over to this output right here. And let's see if we get a screen. Give it a minute to do its power on self-test. Yeah, something should have happened by now. That's pretty interesting. I want to make sure that nothing's wrong with this computer we just built. So the other thing I'm wondering is if the USB could be causing a conflict. So let me unplug the USB going to the, so this is all entirely, the whole NanoKVM's disconnected. Let's see if that makes any difference. Right now, I'm sure nothing's going to happen. So let's come back here and turn it back off. Back on again. We'll switch over to this cable here, see if we get a proper boot up now that we've disconnected that USB. So it doesn't seem to be making a difference. And so from what I can tell, it doesn't appear to be a NanoKVM issue. Just coincidentally, we're having a problem here. Now, if you recall, I did have some issues with this HDMI port when we were building the machine. And I started using the DisplayPort adapter cable. So if we take this out and plug it in to the DisplayPort adapter, and then plug this into the DisplayPort output, I might have a wonky motherboard. Let's just try that and see if that makes any difference. I'm not seeing anything here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut power to this. Sometimes turning it off and back on again isn't enough. If the machine's having a logic issue, we have to completely drain all the capacitors. So by leaving this off for a few seconds, then turn it back on, and let's turn it on here. Now hopefully it will see the DisplayPort in HDMI, but no idea why that just happened. But let's just see if we can get it working again, because we've got the NanoKVM completely disconnected. At this point, I'm just trying to get the motherboard to boot. And it doesn't want to wakey. But again, this has nothing to do with the NanoKVM. Once we've disconnected and removed the NanoKVM from the picture, this would have no effect on the motherboard because it's just USB and it's just HDMI. So there's no way that could damage the board. And we're getting nowhere with it. Well, that's unfortunate for me on a live video. But maybe just exposed a problem on the motherboard. So what I'm going to do, come back over here to camera 1. I'm going to shut this off, and we're going to leave it off just a little bit longer. Once again, with the NanoKVM completely disconnected. I mean, we're still plugged into the network, but the two cables that plug into the motherboard, HDMI and USB, keep those free. And I'm really saddened that I got no Wi-Fi. Like, you have no idea how much that disappoints me. And I'm wondering if that's what that other little plug is for. I feel like I got a prototype. This doesn't feel like a finished product. And I ordered a finished product. I'm a little sad. I'm also a little sad about what's going on here. Should be happy. Turn this back on. One more try, and then I'm going to check out the chat room here in just a minute. Let's turn it back on and see if we get any life out of it this time. Now, if this were our first boot, I'd say it's normal to wait 1.5 to 3 minutes, but should not be taking that long. Once it's got the memory and CPU trained, it should fire up within a few seconds. And we're getting 0 out of this, 0 life. No signs of life. Interesting. Now, could it be the CPU graphics went out? Maybe. Could it be something on the motherboard went out? Maybe. The board it can be returned to Amazon. I'm still within my 30 days on that. I'm still not convinced. You know, until I change the CPU out, it could be the CPU. Or maybe one of my power cables came loose. Power cable into the motherboard, you know, because when I'm twisting the board around, showing it to you, when I'm moving it around the table, this cable and this cable are getting jostled. So one other thing that I would do just to double check my own work is the proper way to check if cables are installed isn't to look at them. You have to physically remove them and then plug them back in again. So we're going to do that to both cables just to ensure that by moving the board around here on the bench, because it's not in a case, and this is why you shouldn't be working on a board outside of a case unless you're a technically savvy person, these kind of things can happen. And it could be something that simple. Always check the easy things first, because often it's the easy things that are wrong. Not always, but oftentimes. We also have a diagnostic LED here, which I can look at closer. But it's really tiny and it's opposite of where I am standing right now. But it looks like it's not moving. Looks like it's stuck. Wherever it is right now, looks stuck. Let's take another look at our input. It does appear, let me just see something here. Right click on HDMI 3. Properties. Let me just switch camera inputs just to see if that reinitializes the capture card. No, it's not the capture card. Okay. There appears to be an LED on right here. Let me just see if I can get a closer look at what light we're stuck on. And for that, I need my magnifying glasses here. So the DRAM LED is what's lit up here. It's complaining about the RAM. Isn't that interesting? That doesn't necessarily automatically and unequivocally mean we have a RAM problem, but it's a good, easy place to start. It says it's stuck at RAM. First thing you want to check is your RAM. Now we want to cut power to do this. You don't want to do this just with the computer off. You want to make sure the power supply is off, or to be very sure, unplug it from power. Let's just take out one RAM module. And then let me pick up my power cable that I just dropped on the floor. Where did it go? It was just here.
Don't mind me, I'm just really confused right now. I literally just dropped it. It should be at my feet. Oh, I see. I got caught up with the Ethernet cable and then slid down about 4 feet that way. Couldn't make that happen if I tried. Okay, let's plug it back in, turn this back on. Now with just one RAM module installed in any socket, let's see if it makes any difference if we can get past the second LED. So the first LED beside it lights up, then it lights up next. The RAM is lit up. Yes, it moved. So we come back over here to input number 3. We should get some video out of this thing this time. All the LEDs went out. There we go. Okay, well that has nothing at all to do with the NanoKVM, but it does show you the diagnostic technique, the calmness, the lack of panic, and the understanding that everything is logical. And sometimes, as we mentioned earlier, causation and correlation are not related. Simply because we had this problem doesn't mean the NanoKVM caused it. The NanoKVM is not going to cause RAM to go bad, just like a Windows update is not going to kill your SSD. There's another example of people trying to put things together that don't go together, and technical knowledge would expose the reasoning behind that. So right now we're waiting as it's booting. We should get, ideally, a menu up here. Something should be happening. And I see nothing. I don't know why that's taking so long. If it's a video synchronization issue, I don't know. So what I want to do, again, we're still kind of struggling with this. I'm going to take that DisplayPort adapter off because that clearly didn't help us. And I'll put that back, and we'll just take that out of the equation as one more potential point of confusion or diagnostic. Plug our HDMI directly into the capture card, and let's see if we're gonna, yeah, now we've got video. So now that we have video, let's take the HDMI out. Let's plug the capture card back in. So again, it shouldn't matter. I'm going to use a different set of USB cable, USB port here. And then my HDMI. See why I only want 3 cables? Look how hairy this all gets. Most people are going to set this up to be a permanent remote access. I don't want it permanently. I only want it for a few hours, and then it's going to control another computer for a few hours, and then another computer, et cetera, until I'm done for the day, and then I'll do it again tomorrow. So now with this hooked up, as you can see, the screen is lit up. It's keeping the same IP address, but it doesn't matter because all I need to do is go back over to our window capture. It's popped up with a login request, so we'll put in NanoKVM. Okay, we're going to try this one more time. I'm going to click Start, Windows Update, sorry, Settings, Windows Update. See how this box is in my way? I can close that out. I can go big here. Advanced Options, Recovery, Advanced Startup, Restart Now. Now it will hopefully work. I guess maybe I have a compatibility with the RAM, a bad RAM, I don't know. I'll look into that later. Not NanoKVM related. That's a separate issue. Now, when this restarts, it should give us an advanced startup menu with the option being that we can get into the BIOS. And we only have Ethernet connected to the back of the board. Everything else is the NanoKVM. So we're in the browser right now, as you can see, in the browser of the streamer, looking at the boot up of the computer that's bare here on the bench. We're going to go to Troubleshoot. We're going to go to Advanced Options. We're going to click on UEFI firmware settings. So even if I don't have power constantly to the NanoKVM, I can still get in the BIOS alternatively without having to hook up that extra USB cable. See, I will go out of my way to not hook up that extra USB cable. That would keep power on the NanoKVM even when the machine's resetting. For some people, they need to have that. I'm not some people, and I don't want that. So here we are in the BIOS now, no differently than if we were sitting in front of the machine. But you'll notice we kind of have a screw up here with the keyboard and mouse not aligning. And this is a known issue with the NanoKVM with some motherboard BIOSes. And if you experience that, just use your keyboard and move around with the keyboard. You can see as I'm moving around, you'll see different things highlight. And you'll also see a lot of these, like right now I'm highlighted on the bottom right corner where it says SiPEED setup. If I go to the left, there is a delay. You can see certain things highlighted in orange. Like right now in the top right, I'm highlighted on search. Let me use the left arrow. Now I'm on favorites, left arrow. At the very top of the screen, it says save and exit. Left arrow, now it says load defaults, or I can press F7. And when I'm all done, we can save and exit. So I'll go back to the right, which means I can hit F10, or use the arrow keys, use the enter button, use the enter button. Now, when it reboots, once again, why is the enter button not working? There it goes. When it reboots again, yeah, now we're getting the full post screen right through our browser. No software involved. So the browser is our monitor, and the monitor is connected over the network. And the keyboard and mouse is connected also to the browser. So all I need plugged into the motherboard to control it is an internet connection. And you'll notice the motherboard I'm using, if you're paying close attention, the motherboard I'm using has Wi-Fi on it. So in theory, just giving this power with the HDMI and the USB going out to the NanoKVM, I have full control of this computer anywhere in the world. Without a keyboard, without a mouse plugged in, even without an Ethernet cable plugged in if I'm on Wi-Fi. It's damn cool. Now let me go to the chat room because I've not been paying attention to what you guys have been saying. And let's see what you have to say. David Graham thinks it might have been knocked loose, the RAM. Maybe. Dennis says, damn, I was sure it was a Windows update. Yes. Yes. It's always, anytime there's a problem. I stubbed my toe last night. Damn Windows updates. Alan with a Y says hello. There's Tony's RC and Doman 2000 joining us in the chat room. Okay, any questions about this? Like, why didn't I get the Wi-Fi version? I mean, there's a hole here for the antenna. It's pretty obvious, but I got no antenna. I waited a long time for this. You can imagine my disappointment. Because this box should say ATX plus Wi-Fi, and it just says ATX. I'll go back and look at my receipt. Maybe I made a mistake. Now this says it supports NanoKVM and PiKVM. I wonder how you switch to PiKVM. See, I'm sticking with what I'm familiar with the prior generation. This seems slower. The mouse response, milliseconds delay, seems a bit slower than the previous one. Also, the idea that this goes internally when it really kind of doesn't. I don't quite understand the idea here. And why we're not pulling voltage off of the PCIe bus. But it is what it is. And again, the idea is, I guess you're going to have a glass side on your computer case so you can see the screen. Otherwise, how are you going to see the screen? The only time I ever need to look at the screen is the very first time I set it up. Once I set up that NanoKVM DNS name, that's all I have to remember from now on is that. So the screen does me no good. But that first power on to find it, they wouldn't need that if they created a discovery tool, which Dennis in our chat room did create, by the way. But since it does have a screen, it's just easier to look at the screen. Once I get that set up out of the box the way I want it, my login, my password, and my DNS name, I never need that screen ever again. So it seems like a permanent solution to a temporary problem when a discovery tool would have worked as well. We provided the discovery tool to them and they rejected it. And I was offended. I said, look, I don't mind if you reject it because you have something better, but you have nothing and you have no reason to reject this. Well, you got to submit it through the proper channels, blah, blah, blah. I said, no, I don't. No, I don't work for you. I am providing you something that you are not providing your customers. And you're welcome to modify it. And I'm speaking on behalf of Dennis, to make it do whatever you need it to do to meet your bureaucratic whatever it is, whatever these OCD rules are you made up. They're arbitrary. They're only your rules. They're not actual rules. They're your own policies that you've just decided to enforce. So take it, it's already been written, and adjust it to however you need it to meet your bizarre requirements. In the meantime, the only proper response I expect from you is you're welcome. And then they were a little more gentle and they said, well, you can host it yourself. And I'm like, okay, we will. We will. Sorry, I made an attempt to help. Well, you got to help a certain way. If you don't help exactly the way we want it, we're going to reject it. I'll keep that in mind. I'll never help you again. So me and SiPEED, it's kind of a love-hate relationship. Because, well, I enjoy the Jet KVM. I cannot buy anymore. And the reason I can't buy anymore is for political reasons that the manufacturer has decided to turn their company into a political tool, which makes them a political tool. And I want nothing to do with any company that does that. With SiPEED, it's a little of both. We've got a great tool. It's less expensive and anybody can buy them anywhere in the world, regardless of tariffs, nothing slowing down sales for GLINet, nothing slowing down sales for NanoKVM, and the NanoKVM is the cheapest of all three. It's the smallest of all three, and it's, in my opinion, it's faster and more upgradable in the sense that we have 21 gigs, I think, of free space, and we can upgrade that, give us more free space for things like ISO images and things if we choose to, by just changing the micro SD card. The Comet Pro, there's no expandable storage in it. You get what you get, that's it, too bad, so sad. So this is far more user-friendly, far more expandable. It's all open source, and it's the cheapest one, and it's available worldwide. It's not where it's available anywhere but the USA. So this is my go-to. And overall, I like it, and my other conversations with SiPEED have been pleasant. But now they just screwed this up and sent me the wrong one on top of the previous conversation, providing them with a tool that they don't provide themselves, that they rejected without any alternative to offer their customers. So they're giving their customers a middle finger with regards to the NanoKVM Lite, which is a version of this that has no screen. So how do you find it on the network? Well, you can download a third-party tool. So their answer is get the answer somewhere else. We don't provide it, and you better be technical. And I said, what if you're not technical? You don't want to sell your product to regular home users? You only want to sell it to nerds? Oh no, we want to make it available for everybody. Well, you need the discovery tool. You can't tell somebody to go download Nmap or to log into their router. They don't know what that means. You might as well be speaking another language. Just give a discovery tool the same as every NAS manufacturer on the planet. Provide it. Let them click it and see it. Well, we've got instructions on how to do it through a series of steps, opening up terminal and hooking up running the RNDIS driver, which you have to download manually and apply it manually in the device manager. We're right back to being a nerd. Nobody in their right mind is gonna, I said, you hand this to your mother, you hand this to your grandmother, a NanoKVM Lite, and I challenge you to get them to set it up all by themselves. They can't. But with our discovery tool, I say our, it's really Dennis. With the discovery tool that Dennis made, anybody, regardless of technical ability, can now use this device. And they still rejected it. It cost them zero. There's no expense. It's a gift. Here, take it. Just put it on your site to offer to the customer. No, you didn't submit it correctly. Go to hell. No good deed, you know? Holy moly. So now they made another mistake. But It's cheap. It's available. You can actually buy one. Jet KVM. It's expandable. And like the Comet Pro, even though NasCompare's got his hands on, Robbie over there got his hands on one, they're not shipping until December. I mean, if Robbie got his hands on a completed model, why is it going to wait till December? Do you have any idea how many other products might come out between now and December that by the time Comet releases that, it'll be obsolete? It's entirely possible there's other remote KVMs being developed that are coming out tomorrow or next week or next month. And yet GLINet wants you to commit to prepaying for one of these units. And they say it's $99. Oh, but the $99 one's sold out. The next price point is $129. And it's an additional $25 for shipping to the US, or forget what the amount was. Came out to $150. So GLINet lied about the price. They made it out like, oh yeah, if you're an early bird, you can get it for 99 bucks. Hey, 99 bucks? Okay. Oh, well, they only had a handful available at 99. Then it went to 109, 129. They keep raising the price. And eventually, as a Kickstarter, they're going to collect money for 60 days. That puts us from August into September and mid-October, and then somewhere in December they start shipping. What? What are they thinking? If it's that close to being done that Robbie already had his hands on a finished product and now we're just talking about software, we can get the software update. Start sending it now, today. Too late. So GLINet's off the table. I got a feeling we're going to see another KVM introduced between now and the end of the year that'll be cheaper and more powerful than by the time GLINet gets the Pro out. I could be wrong, but I'm willing to take that gamble. I'm not pre-ordering that so far in advance. 4 months is a long time to wait. Furthermore, I just got this today, and that means the desktop version is another 2 weeks away. Should be about 2 weeks, I think, and no more than 4 weeks, which is a lot sooner than December, and it costs less than $150. And that will have, it better have Wi-Fi. It better have Wi-Fi. I'll be angry. I'll be angrier than I am now, because quite frankly, I probably won't use this. It's likely going to go back in the box just like the original one that's sitting in a box. It's sitting in a box over at Studio A because I was going to install it inside of the tower on the Studio A computer, which is a Corsair 200R. So why am I getting on my knees and getting out the screwdriver when all I have to do is plug the little box up externally and run the cable? What was I thinking? And honestly, I don't have any KVM hooked up to that Studio A computer. I'm using remote software because I'm in Windows. The only time I need this is when I'm not in Windows, when I'm in a BIOS, or I don't know, I need to install, let's say install Windows. I can install Windows with this. With the computer's already built, it just needs regular remote access software. And you don't have to pay anything for that. You can use free things like ultraviewer.net or RustDesk, which is a complete ripoff of TeamViewer. And TeamViewer deserves to be ripped off, in my opinion. RustDesk is completely free, or they have a free version of it. So you don't need to go out and buy any hardware. So this may not be for you, but I'm telling you, in the way that I use it, game changer. It's a complete game changer in how much work I can get done now without having to keep going up and down the stairs, which, quite frankly, there's nothing worse than coming down the stairs and the update says it's 98% done. I go back upstairs, occupy myself with, I don't know, emails or whatever I'm doing. Figure it out to be done by now. I come downstairs, it's still at 98%. Ugh. Now, all I do is hook it up to the NanoKVM. I don't need a keyboard, I don't need a mouse, I don't need a monitor. So I plug in the mini PC, real easy. It's quick. Turn it on, go upstairs, log into the NanoKVM. How do I find it? I just go to the browser, nanokvm.local. I log into it, there's the mini PC. I do everything I need to do. I can go watch YouTube, check email, open different tabs, check my Gmail, open a tab. How's that update coming along? Click the tab, still working. Click back. Oh, it's already done. Restart. come back over, read some more emails, watch some YouTube videos. Is it restarted? Yep. Check for updates. All the updates are done. Windows cleanup is done. All the drivers installed? No. Let me download the drivers, install those. How about now? Everything's happy. Check activation. Everything's good. Shut it down. Then I come back downstairs, unplug it, put it back in the box, take the Mix Mini PC out, plug the Nano into that one, start the whole thing all over again. And now instead of getting 1 or 2 computers done a night, I'm getting 3 or 4 done a night, and I'm not wearing myself out going up and down the stairs. It's an amazing solution, and I'm not installing any software. So when the computers get sent to customers or to viewers in some cases, there's no remote software on it because there never has been. Oh, chef's kiss. Andy said it's raining in the eastern San Diego County mountains. Yeah, we got some pretty big storms here in Phoenix last night, and all day today. I'm seeing the sun right now for the first time. It's been looking like a day in Michigan for the first time, at least this year. A gray sky in Phoenix. It is so uncommon. Think of England the other way around. Every day is a gray sky in England. Well, Michigan's very similar. Michigan has weather that's going to be cloudy, whether they're gray clouds or white clouds. Arizona, usually just a blue sky with a bright yellow sun that just is oppressively bearing down on you. And it's rough, let me tell you. And very little wind. Even if you had some wind or some shade, it's a lot more tolerable. But to wake up and see a gray sky, it felt like Michigan today. And then in Michigan, you know, you'd see the sun go behind the clouds and the room would get darker, and then the room will light up again, and then the room will get darker as the clouds move across in front of the sun. In Phoenix, it's just a bright blue sky with a bright yellow sun, just relentlessly boring down on you from the time it rises until the time it sets. You very rarely ever see clouds get in front and block the sun. It's rare. And for the sky to be gray, almost never. So I'm enjoying today. Yeah. And it makes a huge difference on how hot it is outside. It's humid and it's muggy, but at least it's not that bright yellow, that just relentless and oppressive heat boring down on you with no wind and no shade. Woo! It's a challenge. It doesn't get easier. I'm telling you, the older I get and the temperatures are going up, you know, we're getting hotter temperatures on average this year than the year before or 10 years ago. Temperatures are rising, and I was able to tolerate that a lot better when I was younger. And we might have more storms the rest of this week. Bring them on, I say, bring them on. Mark Leibowitz joins us, says hello. He said it's sunny today in Chicago, around the mid-60s Fahrenheit or 18 degrees Celsius right now. That sounds pretty nice. Paul Connolly joining us from Australia said, I just spilled my coffee. It has to be a Windows Update problem. Yeah, you got that internet logic. Love it. Now, I don't know if there's been any questions about the NanoKVM Pro here that I've got that I'm playing with today. You know, I could try to turn on the Wi-Fi just to see, but it doesn't appear to have Wi-Fi. The box doesn't say it has Wi-Fi. But if there's a Wi-Fi chip on it with just a missing antenna, I should still see some SSIDs. I don't expect it has Wi-Fi. Just like it offers the LED thing, the stupid LED lighting as an option. If it's not plugged in, I don't know why the software is not intelligent enough to shade those buttons out if they don't detect the devices. But again, we have the very first hands-on with this. Very first video anywhere on the planet, hands-on with this. Outside of the folks at SiPEED that showed some insider information, but they're not necessarily being fully transparent. Their videos are very edited. So let's just see, for the sake of trying it, Let me go back over to the NanoKVM here. What am I doing? I don't need to go to OBS. I just need to open the window capture. So let's go to the window capture. That's better. And we'll bring up the menu again. Back over to, was it settings? Device. See the LED strip? This should be shaded out if it doesn't detect it. Configure Wi-Fi. If I hit configure, can I look for an SSID or I have to manually type one in? Can't I browse? Can I see what SSIDs are available? That's a problem. Yeah, I don't like that. I should be able to scan. There's no scan option. Is there a scan option if this had Wi-Fi? Or is this the way it's intended to work? If so, they got to work on that. Because if I have to manually type in my SSID and password, that's going to suck. But I guess as long as it remembers it from that point forward, I won't have to do it ever again, unless the SSID and password were to change. But you should be able to browse. And that's my RoboForm wanting me to put my NanoKVM login back in. So RoboForm can't even tell the difference here. Let me just try something. See what it does. Operation failed. Please try again. So it's not saying we have an incorrect SSID or an incorrect password. I suspect this is happening because we don't have the Wi-Fi option installed. And this shouldn't even come up. This should say, this should be grayed out, basically, is what I'm saying. And I'm sure that that will come with a software update. They're still working on it. You can tell from the version, we're dealing with very early images in early application versions. And I'm okay with that. I knew that. I wasn't buying a finished product yet. But I always hope that by the time I get it, it's pretty damn close. This is not as close. But remember, I was wondering, how do I switch over to the PiKVM? And I just realized there's a button here. And it says, are you sure you want to switch to the PiKVM? Yes. I've never used a PiKVM in my life. So I have no idea what it looks like, how it works, or how it's different. This is my very first time. Be gentle. Device will automatically reboot, so I guess I'll look at the screen. The screen is off. I don't know if it'll automatically reconnect me or not. Screen just came back on. The IP address is the same. The screen does tell us we're in PiKVM now. It does say it on the screen. But I don't know why. Oh, there it goes. Oh, this is very different. Two-factor authentication, username. Wow. All right, username admin, I guess. Well, I think you have to set this up. Password of admin, maybe? Oh. Hey, that's kind of cool. IPMI, virtual network controller, terminal, KVM. Please note that when you're working with a KVM session or another because your keyboard, you can't use some keyboard shortcuts like Control-Alt-Delete. To override this, use Chrome or Chromium in application mode. Yeah, this is more nerdy stuff. Okay, so what if I want to do the KVM? Oh, okay, this is different. Go full screen here. Press escape to go out of full screen. Press and hold escape. There it goes. That's a weird thing. All right. stretch through the entire tab. That's cool. Yes, it's trying to maintain the aspect ratio. Reduce the window to its original size. So this is all just how you want it to appear. Then we have options, shortcuts. You can copy and paste text in here that'll then copy it over to here. So if I open Notepad, for example, and I want to copy this, I don't want to retype it, I just want to copy it. Well, this is on the local Notepad. If I open Notepad on my streaming computer, then I could copy this into basically the clipboard, and then I would go over here to text, and I would paste the clipboard in here, and then hit paste. And what that's going to do is it's going to virtually type it out across the screen. You can actually see it go across the screen. So you're not going to Control-C and Control-V from the streamer to the remote like you would with remote software. You have to bring it into a clipboard first. And the NanoKVM software is the same. Oh, look at this, text recognition. I wonder what you use that for. Macros, that's like scripts, so that's cool. Drive, so that's where you can load images. You can use it as a flash drive. You do have spare space on this. And then it shows we're on the ATX version. Interesting, or this is the ATX controller to click the power button. If you have the ATX board, which we did not get. I don't know if we were supposed to get that or not, quite honestly. I'm not sure. Just a lot of information I don't have at this point. But I don't use it. Even if I had it, like the other NanoKVMs come with it, they just stay in the box. I've never, ever used one. But again, it's just my use case. Got a lot of settings here. This is a lot more user adaptable, and if you're more nerdy and you like this stuff, I could see the appeal of PyKVM. I don't need any of this stuff. I find it all overthinking everything and trying to control everything. I'm not, that doesn't fit my personality. I just want to get something done and move on to the next thing. Something that gets me paid, something that resolves a customer problem so I can help the next customer. Oh, that's interesting. I wonder what happened here. Huh. Press and hold escape. Did I loosen my cable here? What did I do? I unplug the video, plug video back in. That's not good. Refresh, maybe? Reload. No stream from PyKVM. Site can't be reached. Did it reboot itself? Refresh again. Oh, I didn't like something I did. Oh, ha! I didn't plug the Ethernet cable all the way into the jack on the NanoKVM. You know what? I do that all the time. You think I know better? I'm way too gentle with my cables. What can you do? All right. Is there an update to the PyKVM software? And if so, where is that update located? Error connecting to the Janus WebSocket server. Okay. Shortcuts, text, macro, drive. Where's the settings? System. Screenshot. Show keyboard. Reset human interface device. About. Hardware. Meta. Thank you. Okay. What about version and update? Where's that at? Options. Switch to NanoKVM. That brings us back. Reset HDMI. The loop out can be turned on or off. We don't have anything plugged into it. MDNS seems to have carried over. keyboard, absolute and relative mouse, mass storage device. That's the virtual device. It does have a, I guess, a microphone. It's not going to be a shortcut. It's not going to be a drive. It's not going to be power. There should be a way to check for updates. Wake on LAN is pretty well hidden in there too. There's a log. I guess it saves a log. Okay. It probably told me up here when I was unplugged. That green icon probably went away and I didn't notice. I don't see anywhere to update this. That's to leave. So that's like the back button. Not here. Not a shortcut. It's not text. It's not a macro. It's not a drive. Should be here under system. How do you get updates to this? You're supposed to put it all in manually. If you don't know how to do that, you shouldn't be using this. Is that their attitude? Well, interestingly, it shows the PiKVM is part of the download of the NanoKVM. You see how they're both the same version? So you must update the PiKVM when you update the NanoKVM. They must come in together. That would be my guess. This is a little too nerdy for me. I don't like all the bells, whistles, dials, and gauges. I just want to turn the lights on and off. I just need a switch to turn on and turn off. I don't need to be sitting in the cockpit of an airplane looking at all the bells, whistles, and gadgets when all I'm trying to do is turn the light on. So for me, personally, I am opposed to this. I will resist and fight against this. But for the people who enjoy that madness, I'm just presenting it to you to know that it's there. You might think I am insane and will agree that I see that anybody that wants to do all this is insane. So you have your perspective and I'll have mine. And that's what I love, is people can choose what's right for them. You don't have to do it my way. I don't have to do it your way. And you may be trying to accomplish something I'm not trying to do. So wake on LAN, log about, where did I find the switch back to, is it options? Yeah, switch to nano. I want switch now. Yeah, I don't like that at all. That's way too complex, way too granular. Maybe if I had nothing to do all day and I wanted to play, or I had a unique solution where I had to fine tune. But again, this needs to be universally set up so I can connect to multiple different mini PCs every single day. It will not stay permanently attached to anything. I suspect this interface is going to be exactly the same on the desktop version of this, and the only difference is the enclosure or lack thereof. So you'll notice the flashing network jack here, which implies that it's not green, right? And the screen is lit up, so I'm assuming that this is going to auto restart us back to the login page to the NanoKVM, I'm guessing. So we'll just wait here a minute. This is not a quick changeover, but it's also not like reinstalling Windows. It means faster than that, but it's definitely not instantaneous. So we're going to give that a minute, and hopefully it refreshes us back to the regular NanoKVM software. Yeah, so my guess is that the PiKVM and the NanoKVM software are part of the update we did, and that's why it carried over the MDNS name and carried over the login information, I think. I could be wrong. I mean, we're getting the spinning dial. I feel like it should have happened by now. If I come over here and just type in NanoKVM local, does it come up? It does. In the meantime, this just sits here and spins. Okay, so that's already rebooted and it's not smart enough to refresh the screen. So we'll log back in. Bada boom, bada bing. Now we're back to familiar, simple, user-friendly interface. I love, love, love this interface. The price on this is really, really appealing. Okay, back over to camera one. And back over to the chat and see if anybody's got any questions for me. Is that my UPS package? Oh, darn it. I'm still expecting the heat sinks from QNAP to arrive today, but they don't say when they're arriving. So that maybe we'll do that tomorrow. I guess they're going to arrive before the end of the day, I think is the estimation, which means any time between now and I think 10 p.m. or 9 p.m. And assuming they complete that delivery, then we've got content for tomorrow's show. Andy says I might be getting more rain here in Phoenix from the hurricane off the Baja Coast. Yeah, that's where we're getting it from, according to the news. And potentially for the next few days. David Graham said, I'm not impressed with it. It looks janky and came broken. I don't think it came broken. Nothing broken. But it's not what I ordered. They sent me the wrong thing. Well, look, I need to go check my receipt. Maybe I made a mistake in ordering it. I mean, I don't think I made a mistake, but before I complain, I will check and verify that it's not my error. But it wouldn't make sense for me to not order it without Wi-Fi. But the software needs a little work for sure. Dennis says it's hard to tell, is the latency any better than the Cube? It seems worse to me. It seems slower than the Cube. So, and I'm just, I'm not measuring it, I'm just telling you how it feels. It feels a little bit slower. I am curious how that would work with Wi-Fi and if that would add to the latency or not. But with Wi-Fi, I wouldn't need the Ethernet cable anymore. Then I just need the two cables. Oof. Yes, please. This thing here, maybe that's what David's saying, this is broken. Yeah, to tell the customer to cut a wire, that's janky for sure. If that's what you're referring to, this is an embarrassment. And what they should have done is just promised to replace the cables, that they made an error. They should have just been honest. We made an error in manufacturing. And if you want a new cable, just write to us, reach out to support, and we'll send you one. And if you want to use it in the interim, cut the black cable. I don't know why they couldn't have just been open and honest about that. This kind of stuff is to be expected when you're the first, when you're a pre-order and you want everything to be perfect. Don't order anything pre-order in your life. Best advice I can give you. Because if you want to be first, then you're going to be the first one to identify any issues or experience identified issues after it ships, right? The way they found out about this is somebody probably got one before we did. They said, hey, what's wrong with this? And did you notice it's wired backwards? And they said, oh, we better stop this fire before it begins, and sent a bulk email out to everybody who pre-ordered. And the email just happened to come in today, the same day the unit arrived. So whether or not they're kicking that email out by watching tracking information, or they just happened to go out today, I don't know. I'm glad they didn't hesitate to send it. Sometimes you pre-order things that never get sent, or there's difficulty getting some parts. I still don't know what this is for. It appears it plugs in. Maybe this is the ATX board. Maybe what this does, and I'm going to guess, is maybe you take this. Remember, I'm not reading any documentation here, but maybe this is a replacement. Maybe the ATX board is built in. Oh, that's exactly what it is. So if we plug this in here, get you close up. Okay, so that's your power switch and reset switch connected to the software. And you'll notice we have a female and a male connector here. So if we take our power switch off, plug the power switch onto the male side, there's no writing on here, so I don't know where the power switch goes. It appears it would go on like this, but I'm guessing. I think the missing pin is the top row, if I'm not mistaken. And we always start from the left. So that means the two pins put this backwards. Should go this way. Important I get my positives and negatives right here. And it's important I'm on the top row. The top row will be the row that only has 4 pins. The bottom row has 5 pins. And then this piece would plug onto the front panel header on their motherboard, which again, well, see, it doesn't have a pin blocked. It should, because that means you could easily put this in upside down. How are you supposed to know which way is up? It can count the number of little silver tabs here. There's no wire in this top. Well, for you, it's your top left corner. So this is going to be power and reset up here. That means it's got to go on this way and onto the motherboard. Remember, this is all intended to be in. That woke me up. This is intended to be internal. Now, which one of these plugs was my power switch? Should be right here. Right here. Okay. So now, in theory, I have to hold this now. In theory, we should be able to turn this machine on and off by using a virtual power switch. So if I come back over to our window capture, Let's get back over to the NanoKVM. See, how can I demonstrate this? We'll turn window capture on, and I'll turn camera 1 on. And then what I'll do is I'll drop, see if I move camera 1 above it, then I can minimize something like that, I guess. Maybe bring it, I'll just put it right here. Okay, then I come over here, click on the power button, and say I want to power it off. Power short click, power long click. So if the whole thing locks up on you and you have to hold the power button in 10 seconds, you can emulate that here. So if you're remote and there's no one there to push it for you, you can do it yourself if you have this wired up the way that I've never wired this up before. Let's just try reset. What happens? We never hooked up a reset, but you know what? It should work. Oh, it did work. Okay. So we physically hit the reset button. Okay. And then that'll start up. Interesting. Let's try and power it off. Power confirmation. Power operations require an extra confirmation. Oh, that's an option. Okay. So let's just do a, let's do a complete shutdown. Let's just shut down the computer normally. And we'll wait for the LED to go off. Now remember, I could turn this on if I configure Wake on LAN. The board supports it. It's no problem. But what if you see the login, the NanoKVM is still on. So I'm still logged into the NanoKVM. So if I want to turn power on, I should be able to hit that button, hit the power button. Oh, and there it goes. So that emulates actually pressing the buttons in real life, because it's plugging into where the buttons go, and then the buttons plug into it, so you can still use the buttons in person if you want to. Well, that's how I understood it to work, and that's exactly what it's doing. So there you go. But I can't leave this like this. There's not enough cable here. So we're going to pull that off. Actually, let's shut it down. Let me shut it down one more time. Power. I don't need to hit the power button. I just go to start and shut down. Yeah, there's a long lag here. Catch up. Okay, start. Come on, start. Wait. Okay. Power. Wait. Shut down. Wait. Okay. All right. Yeah, there's definitely more lag on this for sure. And then we'll wait for the lights to go out. Perfect. And I'll cut power here just so I don't worry about short-circuiting anything by mistake. Take that off. See, just a couple cables, they already got all intertangled with each other here. This is what drives me crazy. This kind of stuff. I got woven between the network cable and the HDMI cable, and then it wove around it again a second time around the HDMI cable. And then you can see it shortens the length of the cable, and now I don't have as much play to move things around. And then the power switch itself, which is plugged in here, that can go back onto the motherboard. And then this cable here, I just won't use this. But if this were installed internally, you can see that's a lot easier of a solution than another circuit board, which is usually what's included on the cube version of the NanoKVM. And then we'll go back full screen here on camera 1. Move that back under the video capture. Does anybody have any questions for me today? Because we're just over our 2-hour mark here. I do try to keep these around 2 hours. Overall, it's more or less what I expected, except I expected Wi-Fi. You never know. Maybe they didn't make a mistake. Maybe they sent exactly what I ordered. If I ordered the non-Wi-Fi version, it doesn't make any sense. But you know, this was back in June, and without looking at the paperwork, now I'm questioning myself. The USB cable, silly mistake, an easy mistake, but one that should have been caught before it shipped. And they're in a hurry to get these out, you know. So maybe they got to slow down a little bit. Haste makes waste. Overall, it's smaller than I expected. It doesn't sit in the slot like I expected. It just kind of barely sits in there for a little bit of support. On the previous version, the screen was on the outside. That way it didn't matter if you had a glass side panel or not. This one with the screen on the inside, if you don't have a glass side panel, you don't know what's going on. But again, I don't think it's really necessary beyond your first time setup. The small PCI adapter here is a nice touch. Again, I would have no use for it, but if you were to install this in a smaller form factor computer, it will fit. And all you gotta do is change the slot cover. It's nice that they've included it. I don't think they needed to include this longer HDMI cable. I like that they included 2 USB Type-C to USB Type-A's, just like they do on the Cube. Same thing. And they're thin cables. They're not real thick and hard, inflexible cables like what GLINet sends. So I appreciate the quality of the cables as well. I like this solution of the front panel switches better than the circuit board. This makes more sense. So this is a nice improvement. I won't use it anyway, but you might. And then the video output looping, the separate USB power if you want it. And if this thing should lock up on you and you want to reset it when it's inside of the computer, that's why there's buttons. I want to highlight these buttons here. Should this lock up, because this is just a tiny computer, there's a little reset button right there. You don't need to use a little SIM card tool. You just use your finger and push it down. Am I holding it upside down? There. Camera likes to focus on my face. Now you should be able to read it all very clear. Not sure what the button does. Maybe turns on USB, turns it on and off for the virtual drive. Not sure. But once again, you'd have to be in front of the machine you're controlling remotely, and if you're in front of it, that you can push these buttons. It sounds like you're the remote. Okay. I'm glad to have it. I got to check my receipt to find out if they made a mistake or if I made a mistake. I don't know. It is possible I made a mistake. It's possible I thought, I'll go use this in the Studio A computer and I don't need the Wi-Fi, I'll just run 2 cables to it. But then why wouldn't I use the one I already have? Or maybe I thought I was ordering the Wi-Fi one, and through the checkout process I ordered the wrong one. This is gonna bug me now. Maybe I can check it right now. Let's look at my emails around June. When was it? Sometime around June. Oh, it was May. I did this in May? NanoKVM order confirmation, May 23rd. Okay, this is the desktop version with Wi-Fi. Okay. I didn't put everything on one order. Here's another order. ATX times 1. It doesn't say ATX plus Wi-Fi. I screwed up. My mistake. Bad Carey. This cost me with shipping and everything, without Wi-Fi or PoE, $92. It's pretty good. The desktop version that I ordered with Wi-Fi, I spent $132. That's still a far cry from the $150 Comet wants for the Pro. In addition, they're not shipping till December. I already have this, and I'll have the desktop version in another couple weeks. So yeah, for whatever reason, I don't know what I was thinking, I ordered the non-Wi-Fi version. Oh, I know why I did it. Okay. I know exactly why. My plans for this were to put this in the Studio A computer. Like I said, I'm using remote software right now. If I put it in the Studio A computer, when I'm at Studio A, I need to see the monitor. I have a network switch right next to the computer with lots of spare ports. I don't need Wi-Fi on this. And it would be more reliable regardless to just wire it in. But I don't want to have to unplug the HDMI cable or turn on dual monitors, right? And then mirror the monitor here to the actual monitor at Studio A. So the reason I ordered this for Studio A was the loop out on the HDMI. That's exactly, so I did not make a mistake. I've forgotten how I was going to use it. I really need to slow down. I got way too much stuff going on. But that's my mistake. I did think this out. And, you know, for a few extra bucks, I should have just ordered the Wi-Fi because you don't have to use it. It would have been a nice option. I guess I was more concerned about saving 20 bucks. I should have, oh man. So apologies to SiPEED for accusing them of sending me the wrong item. That's my fault. They sent exactly what I ordered. And if I had to do it all over again, I would order it with the Wi-Fi. Just, even though I don't need it on Studio A, things change. And it's nothing you can add on yourself. You have to have it ordered that way. So there we go.
Is that too loud?
No, we're just wrapping up anyway, but yeah, look at how cute. See how cute?
Yeah. You have another cute.
Oh, you have a kitty, a feral kitty.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing makes Mara happier than feeding feral cats that will eat out her eyeballs. If she's dead, they'll start eating her. It does seem to be a nice cat. It hasn't been feral very, it's a young cat, so it hasn't gotten to be real nasty. He seems, or she seems pretty people friendly. But you know, it puts a smile on Mara's face to feed the feral cats, so all the power to her. I'm a dog person. You hadn't guessed. Dennis wants to know if I think it supports a USB wireless network card. I do not believe it does. The 3 USB ports on this. Keyboard and mouse, power, and the last one is for it's saying ATX. That would imply to me that that's another way to control the power and reset, but I maybe, as far as I know, no. Besides, I wouldn't want to just keep plugging in things and adding more wires and complexity when it can already be built in with an antenna with that hole. I should have ordered Wi-Fi. I know I didn't need it, but sometimes needs change and it's better to have it and not need it than the other way around. And the current needs I have, I would not use Wi-Fi. And the future needs I have, I cannot foresee needing Wi-Fi. But I still should have got it with Wi-Fi, so I could have demonstrated it, if no other reason.
According to UPS, they're
Oh, and then UPS is about to deliver our heat sinks for the QNAP. And then we'll take a look at that. I talked to the customer yesterday. They were curious how that was coming along, and I filled them in. We're having a heat issue. We're hoping the heat sinks will resolve it. If not, we'll have to replace the NVMe drives with something else. Or choose a different NAS solution, and we can send this other NAS back to Amazon if it isn't going to meet our needs. So when that arrives, assuming it arrives today, we'll set it aside and plan on covering that tomorrow. Stan says there looks to be a Wi-Fi connection on the card. You just need the antenna. No, maybe. I don't think so. Unless I had two side by side and I could compare them, because there doesn't seem to be anywhere to plug an antenna in. I don't see the, I forget what those connectors are called. It's clear there's a hole in the plate for the antenna, which the tinier PCI card would not support, interestingly. But I don't think there's a Wi-Fi card on here. I mean, unless it's using a I don't know what that connector's for. If that goes to a Wi-Fi antenna, that's like a Wi-Fi antenna I've never seen before. I think we're looking at the display card here. And this is all the USB and HDMI here. I'd have to order one with Wi-Fi and compare them. Oh, wait a minute. Wait just a minute. You know what? I do see a connector for Wi-Fi on here. You might be right. Right there is an antenna plug for Wi-Fi. However, there's no chip here. There looks like maybe a Wi-Fi chip would go there, and it's not there. Unless there's something on the other side. Can't tell. I have to guess the Wi-Fi would add a chip and an antenna. But again, I could be wrong. That will require a little more poking around. Maybe there is a chip on there already. Maybe it's just on the other side. And maybe it has nothing to do with our Wi-Fi. There's a lot of maybes. See, here's the thing. They sell a version of this for PoE, and if you don't pay for it, you don't get it. So is it a simple matter of, how are they enabling and disabling these features? My guess is they're building them differently. Some have certain chips and others have other chips. But maybe I'm overthinking it. Maybe they're all the same and they're just enabling features some other way, like in a BIOS. I don't know. I don't like that I can't scan my Wi-Fi and look, but maybe if it came with Wi-Fi, I could. See, that's the problem. I don't know how it's supposed to work. And since we're the first ones to make a video on this, I don't have any reference point to go to. Other than time, and other people will share their stories on Reddit and GitHub, and maybe some other people will make some YouTube videos in the coming days and weeks ahead, and we can learn from them, because I'm sure somebody ordered the Wi-Fi version, and maybe we can visually see a difference, maybe we can't. Or maybe they'll take it apart and point out what each chip is. I'm not taking mine apart. I can't be bothered. It's easy enough to Google the chips. I don't want to pull the heatsink off, and I don't want to pull the two boards apart from the third board. Just want to leave it alone and be patient. And this information will be provided. I don't have to be impatient, you know, and find out right now. It's just going to go back in the box and sit regardless of Wi-Fi or not. I'm not even sure I'm going to deploy it the way that I thought. My thought was, if I put this in the Studio A computer and I hook it up and connect the monitor to the loop out, it's there if I ever want to use it. It's already there. On the other hand, I have to get down on my knees, pull it apart, pull the side panel off, install it, run the cables, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, for something I really don't think I'm going to need, because once I'm in Windows, I just use Instant House Call. So there's no fix for me. This isn't solving any problems for me. But it's nice to have an inventory should I have a client or a scenario that arises. And that's why I should have got it with the Wi-Fi, so it could have accommodated a few different scenarios. I don't know what I was thinking. I was just trying to save money, I think, is what I was thinking. The good news is the Cube version of the NanoKVM is available on Amazon. They're very inexpensive. There's no shortage of them. If I come over here to Amazon and just type in NanoKVM, and then I'll bring up my window capture one more time here for you. Pay attention to the delivery dates and the price. So we're looking at this cube. They make this in black and in white. This is the white version. Here's the black one. There's the ATX board with the cable that connects to the board if you want to do the power switch and reset switch hookups, and you can do that, and then that connects to a USB cable instead of being inside of the computer. This cable, this multicolor cable, goes inside the computer. It connects into this board on that right side, and then this connects to a USB that plugs into the USB port on the other side. The bottom USB port's for the keyboard and mouse, and it will provide power. This is your HDMI input. There is no HDMI output, so this replaces your monitor. And the top is for the optional 5-volt power if you want to hook that up. And then the other side of it has a USB port, which I'm trying to see if they have a picture of the other side. Yeah, and then that's what we control the ATX power. And that's what I think the other USB port is for here on the ATX version. It says ATX just like this one does. So maybe an alternative way to hook up, I don't know, ATX power and reset controls. And then the NanoKVM has power and reset that work if you hook up the power and reset switch. That's a fourth way that you can no, it's not a fourth way, I take it back. There's no pass-through. So the power switch and the reset switch on your case will not work. They'll be disconnected. And you will replace them with the switch on the cube instead. You will power your computer on with the NanoKVM cube using the power button on it and the reset button on it. If you don't do that, the power button and reset button, you can press them all day. They don't do anything to the NanoKVM. So that's why they're there. They're there to replace the power and reset buttons. So I like the pass-through on this new version on the Pro. Makes more sense, so you can keep your buttons and continue to use the buttons while additionally having remote access to the buttons. Whereas here, you'd have to be physically connected to the machine. And if you're standing in front of the machine and you want to turn the machine off, you'll have to retrain your brain when the power button on the case doesn't work. And oh yeah, I got to use the power button on the NanoCube instead. So again, I don't use it, but it comes included with the kit. So that little circuit board right down there and this multicolor cable and one of the USB cables you could use for controlling Again, it's going to go USB out of this end and then into the other side of the cube here. But if you look on Amazon, you'll notice there's multiple sellers. And this is the USB version. Oh, look at this. Oh, look at this. You can now order on Amazon. It's a little bit more money. What I say I paid, like 10 bucks less, 15 bucks less. NanoKVM Pro with Wi-Fi and PoE. What about just with Wi-Fi? Oh man, it's actually cheaper. But it's not going to ship for a while. It's going to ship in 2 to 3 weeks. And then there's the desktop version. Is it both? Do you get both? This still says it's, no, I don't know why they're showing both. I think it's just the desktop version. It's basically the same price as what I paid on pre-order. Damn it. All right, well, no benefit to pre-order, I suppose. There's the stupid LED strip you can get with it. You want to spend another $25 for LEDs to go behind your screen? I don't know why people spend the money. Or just get it fully loaded with Wi-Fi and PoE. Only 120 bucks. And about $15, what? $13 cheaper for the ATX board. Which they're picturing here with the shorter PCIe small form factor adapter plate on there. Wow, I wonder when this went live on Amazon. And then you get your whole Amazon returns thing, you know, you got peace of mind. And Ye2 Tech is who I've been ordering a lot of the stuff from. So they're legit. But now the original NanoKVM internal board is only 60 bucks, and there's a 5% coupon, and you're going to get it. Here it says I could have delivery tomorrow. So that's everything included with the previous version of what we're looked at today. Very similar packaging. And about half the price. Not quite half the price, but when you add the 5%, that's going to take another, I don't know, $3 off. And then you'll see there may be a couple other cubes available from other sellers at different prices. And sometimes the difference is the delivery date. So just the cube without Wi-Fi and without PoE, it's only $101. That's a really good price. But look at the delivery date. It's a month from now. And this is just the KVM Lite. That's the one where we need that discovery tool. So if you buy this version that you have to put it together yourself, you have to buy your own memory card, you have to provide your own cables, it actually costs more money. But it's a fun little project and it's a smaller form factor, but without a screen, you'll need the utility to discover it, which Dennis has created generously out of his own time and voluntarily provides that, and you can find it either by emailing us or visiting our forums. And the forums is the proper place to go to download it. Especially make sure you get the latest version. Now notice here's a few others from other sellers. They're charging for delivery, and their delivery is going to take 3 to 4 weeks. Pay attention to this if you're going to order, because you may end up spending more and waiting longer. There's the regular GLI net. The Pro will not be out until December. So this is just a big disappointment. I was so hopeful. I don't want to hate on them. I really don't. But I just don't use it. So if you ask me at the end of the day which one I like, I would suggest probably the one I'm using. When it comes time to me doing work, which one do I grab? I usually grab the little NanoKVM Lite because it's so teeny tiny. I just grab it and I hook it up. Now that I've got it configured with the DNS name, I never have to know its IP address. I never need the discovery tool. You only need the discovery tool one time to set it up. Once it's set up, you just go to it. If you can remember what you named it, you just go to the name in your browser. For whatever reason, I just like that one. That's what I end up using. And it was a fun little thing to put together. But at the end of the day, the cube is cheaper, it comes with all the cables, and it's less work, and it's got the screen, so you don't need a discovery tool. So the cube makes the most sense. But the little light version is more, you got to assemble it yourself. You got to download the image, you got to get your own memory card, you got to buy your own cables, you got to do your own configuration, and you have to find it on your network. And when you're all said and done, you will have spent just about as much, if not more money, than just buying the damn cube, which also gives you the ATX options for power switch and reset, which the NanoKVM Lite does not offer you that. For the money, the best KVM on the market right now is the cube, in my opinion. Whether you buy it in black or in white, that is the best value. GLINet's more money, everybody's more money, including the upcoming KVM Pro desktop version, which is also more money. Man, I'm kicking myself in the butt. They appeared on Amazon pretty quick. And the GLINet Comet Pro will also be on Amazon when it's released in December. Barry Klein with a $2 super chat saying, I'm just paying my I want to post tribute to YouTube. Man, you should not have to do that, Barry. Thank you for the contribution, but were you not able to type earlier? Is this the same thing as the other day? Because everybody else seems to be typing fine. I wonder what that's all about. Mark Baggett said, Amazon Prime really is great. I ordered something once around 11 o'clock at night, and it was at my door at 8:30 a.m. that morning. Same thing happened to us. Mara wanted to make her low-carb Cheez-Its, and she needed some cheese powder. And Amazon's like, you can have this tomorrow. But what Amazon said is it's $24.99. So if you want it tomorrow morning, you have to spend at least $25. You need to add something else to your cart. Bastards. Oh, man. Or you can pay an extra $2.99. I'll just pay the $2.99. Believe me, I was looking for something to add to the cart, and I'm like, no. And you know they priced it at $24.99 specifically for that reason. And it would have been free if I'd have said, that's fine, just bring it tomorrow instead of today. But that was late last night before midnight, and it was here this morning before I got out of bed. It was already here. I'm like, all right, that's worth $2.99. Dennis says you're going to need the Wi-Fi chip. I can look and see what they're using. I can solder one on. No. I mean, these are cheap enough. Why go through the time and effort? Not to mention, you know, making sure you get the right chip and the right BIOS version that it'll communicate without any errors or flaws. And then how do we know who to blame if it's not working? Is there a genuine issue in the software, or did we put the wrong chip on or do it wrong? I would just, look, they're relatively inexpensive. You know, when you live in my world and you're spending a couple $1,000s on drives to go into a NAS, you're dropping another $1,500 on a NAS. When it comes to anything around $100 price point, I just kind of feel like, you know, a little bit, $100 here, $100 there is not a big deal. If there's a bunch in a row that it adds up to thousands of dollars, that's a different story. But the last time I bought a NanoKVM for the channel, because they're like $70 when it's all said and done, 65 or $70, I think I have 6 or 7 of them. I don't mind those little expenses. They're not a problem. But I definitely wouldn't want to make my life more complicated and make it take 3 times longer and cost 3 times more, and it may not work. And I can just order it made to do what we want it to do. And then if there's problems, I know exactly where to point the finger to blame. So I appreciate the offer, but I don't find that to be a practical solution. Now, if this device was $1,000 and to order one with Wi-Fi, I had to spend another $1,000 or more, then we'd be talking. But again, I appreciate the thought. And you know, we have some gift card money. We can use it to buy one with Wi-Fi and just have it shipped from Amazon this time. We still have 3 of the desktop versions coming in. And I think all 3 are the same with Wi-Fi. But I ordered one and it rattled around in my head. What if it turns out to be really amazing and then you can't get one? Like the tariff situation and the Jet KVM. Maybe I should have ordered 3 Jet KVM. Now that I think about it, I'm glad I didn't. Because the new Nano Pro and the GLiNet Pro are better than the original Jet KVM. And since Jet KVM doesn't want to play ball in the United States, it doesn't matter what improvements they make, we can't buy them. And then on eBay, the Jet KVMs are going for $300 plus in the USA, which makes me not want to do business with them. But my initial thought was I really like the Jet KVM before all this nonsense. And I wish I had ordered the package of 3 or 5, because then I could sell them on eBay for $300 a piece. Why not? So I didn't want to make the same mistake. So when I ordered the ATX version, then I ordered the desktop version. It was rattling around in my head for like, I don't know, a month. I said, you know what? I better just order 2 more. So I don't know if I'm going to get 1 and then a month later or whatever, I'm going to get 2 more, or if all 3 will arrive at the same time. I don't know. I could just kick myself for not ordering that in Wi-Fi. Damn it. And I could kick myself for not having, you know, the maximum Jet KVMs you could have ordered was 5. But I wasn't even sure this was a real product and that it would really ship. And then some YouTube content creators started getting them early. And I said, oh, it's real and it works. And that was my first KVM. It was only after that that I got the NanoKVM, which had already been out. I just wasn't aware of it. And then the Comet came out and I pre-ordered it and I was very disappointed by it. Now the Comet Pro, they're not shipping it till December, and it's not the $100 they advertised. It's $150 US. 150. It's not worth it. This is so much cheaper, and as far as I can tell, it's better, it's more expandable. So anyway, it's easy to look back on it, but I've got 3 of the desktop ones coming, so I should be good for a while. And by the way, if another company just suddenly appears and starts making an IP KVM like this, count me in. They're just now, you know, it's a brand new technology. And it's hard to say how many others may be entering the marketplace. And it's worth it to me to investigate each one to find out which works best for my needs. And at the same time, it's a cheap thing to buy for content. It's a lot cheaper for me to buy this and get a video out of it than to buy all this and get a video out of it. So at the end of the day, the videos make the same amount of, you know, a little tiny bit of money. Then the cheaper it costs me to make the video, the more sustainable the YouTube channel is. And I have a personal interest in it anyway. All right, well, that'll wrap it up for us for today. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. If you have questions, you can leave them in the comments below. If you want to email us, our email address I will put right up here on the screen. That's how you can reach us privately. We have a public forum at CareyHolzman.boards.net to talk with each other or to communicate with us publicly. It's open 24/7. No membership is required. It's free for everybody. CareyHolzman.boards.net. We'll add the Amazon links to the NanoKVMs that are coming out. Since I wasn't aware before, I just saw that now. We'll add them to the video description below the video. And of course, you can leave comments under the video as well. And I think I got it all covered. So thank you, of course, to everybody who's contributed today. Thank you, Barry Klein. Thank you to our friend Buster out there in Scotland, as always. And a shout out and a thank you to, hold on, I gotta look. I'm missing somebody. Where did it go? Maybe it was a super chat. Oh, I only see Barry Klein. Why do I feel like I'm missing somebody? There's Buster. I thought we got something from Mark Gaines, but I don't see it. Okay. Well, I apologize if I am leaving out a thank you to a contributor, but thanks, of course, to all the members without whom we wouldn't be able to make these videos. So we can't thank you enough for being a member. And I hope if you're not a member, you hope you become one. There's a lot of benefits to membership. Besides the members only videos, that's where we do all our giveaways. That's where you get access to all of our years of history of videos. And of course, you get personal support anytime you need it. We always prioritize answering members' support issues or questions. And while we do try to help everybody, we prioritize members first as time permits. If we can help free users, we will. But sometimes there's just not enough time in the day to do that. So I appreciate your understanding. We appreciate all your support, and this community is its own gift. And once you become a part of it, I don't think you're going to want to leave because everybody's so cool. You're going to make some new friends here. And that's what we're trying to do, is just make this friendly community larger. So if you're a friendly person, come on in and join us. That's going to wrap it up for me for today. Thank you all for watching. We're back tomorrow, 1 o'clock as always. We hope you'll join us then. Until then, bye for now.